Hi, I'm Andy Chanley from 88.5 The SoCal Sound, and usually in this space I'm interviewing musicians, but today I have artists of another stripe. Please welcome the actors joining me today, Jo Beth Williams and Peter Strauss. Thanks for being here.
Thank
Hello.
you, Andy.
And I'm getting to talk to you today because you're putting up a play. It's called Love Among the Ruins. It's at the El Portal Theater in the NoHo Arts District, and it runs until November 5th. I want to make sure I'm clear on that because I believe some early notices about it didn't have it running that long. It's been extended, right?
Yes,
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
through the 5th.
And including several matinees. You guys are really working on this one. You're doing putting in a lot.
We have 3 days a week of matinees, which is unusual. I mean, we do 8 shows a week, which is standard for a play, but to have 3 days with 2 shows is hard.
Yeah, you're going to be singing for your supper, and the cool thing about this, tickets start at just $29. I think that's really cool, making culture available to everyone. I think that's really neat that you guys are doing that.
It's critical, I think, that people can afford the theater. In New York, it's almost prohibitive for most young people, especially, to go to theater. It's opera, theater, $200, $300 tickets. So the beauty of this house, this old burlesque house, is that the furthest seat in the corner has extraordinary sight lines of the stage. So for young people or people who don't have money, there's a seat where you will see the production just as well as people sitting on the front row. Or we have a special section called the jury, and it's a premium ticket, and I think it comes with a drink, which you might need, and you get to sit very close, and you're addressed to by everyone as the jury, and so the extreme is there of every kind of seat availability.
And it's
That's
a
great.
lovely old house. It really is a beautiful old theater that's been around for about 100 years here in LA.
Yeah, you know what? You want to hear something funny? As I'm talking to you, full disclosure to everybody watching, today is October 5th, and the play starts tomorrow. The previews start tomorrow. Guess what date in 1926 the El Portal Theater opened?
Not October 6th.
It was March. No, it was October 5th. It was
Wow.
Really?
97 years ago that it opened up, and I looked it up. It was a movie theater then. And by the way, the place wasn't even called North Hollywood yet. It was still called Lancashire, and it was a movie called Blarney, an old silent melodrama that's been lost to antiquity. So it really is an old, glorious house. It got refurbished after the earthquake in '94 and so forth. So it's neat that you're walking the boards there.
Yeah,
And I have to say, there's a lot of Blarney in our show, so I think that's very
I
important.
use that word often.
There you go. It gets kissed often. Let's talk about the history of Love Among the Ruins. The title is from a Robert Browning poem of the same name, but the story that you are portraying goes back to a 1975, I don't know if a lot of people know this, 1975 ABC made-for-TV movie with Katharine Hepburn and Sir Laurence Olivier.
Correct.
You're following in some cool footsteps with this.
It's not intimidating at all, is it? But it is what's wonderful about it is that the writers who have adapted James Costigan's screenplay have changed it to a different period. It's 1934 in London, and it's about a woman who was a famous actress, who comes to seek a lawyer to win a case, a lawsuit case, and the lawyer is played by Peter. And it's a fun play. It's got heart and it's got humor, and it's not dark in the way that so many things are dark in these difficult times. So it's very entertaining, don't you think?
Absolutely. So the 75, 76, 70, that was the period of renaissance in films for television, especially at ABC. And
Yeah, you know something about that, don't you?
I did films then. Yeah. So it's extraordinary. It was one night and gone. And yet it's this beautiful piece. And the more we play it, the more we explore it, the more we're surprised at how it can certainly relate to an older audience that sees themselves falling back in love and the tragedy of love being misunderstood. And yet, what surprises me is when young people see this play, because they see their parents falling in love, falling out of love, dealing with the same kinds of issues that they might. And I think for both of us, the beauty of theater is it is about community. And I think one of the reasons I'm drawn to theater, and I think I can speak for JoBeth, is that we're in this period in our history of isolation with media, with our phones and our computers, and anonymity and not being seen. And the beauty of this is theater, where you experience laughter and pain together. And that's something that one cannot replace necessarily in a movie theater with a big screen TV at home. So we're encouraging people to experience theater with us.
Or AI, which is really frightening.
Well, that's a whole other ballgame.
But the great thing about theater is that we're right there with you. We're right there with the audience. And what they see is what's happening in the moment, whether I go up on my lines or I knock over a glass of water, or I won't say what Peter might do. I'm sure he wouldn't do anything like that. No. But you know, stuff happens that's in real time and right in front of them. And we did it down in Laguna last year, and the audiences just loved it. They were, you know, they just laughed, and people were crying at the end, and I think they really had a fun experience in the theater, which we need so much right now.
Yeah. Well, and there's just that feeling of live theater that's you know, inimitable. What was the famous quote from Jack Lemmon? Somebody asked him if he was still nervous before he went out on stage, and he said, "Oh yeah, I get butterflies every night. The day I don't get those is the day I don't want to do this anymore." There's still that energy, even though you're going to be doing 8 shows a week. There's still each night a different audience. The jokes are going to land a different way. The poignant moments are going to land differently. You never know what's going to catch on with the audience, do you?
Yeah,
but it's also exciting because you're working off the other actors, and everybody's performance is slightly different every night. So you have to roll with whatever is happening on stage. And I think that's what draws me back to it. Because film and television, you know, chopped up, editing, you never get to complete a full scene, you don't get the full arc of the character. But with theater, every night it's brand new, and every night you get to live out your character.
There's some nights that I'm backstage, the stage managers call places, I hear the opening music, and I ask myself the question, Strauss, what are you doing this for? You could be home watching Monday Night Football, with your dog, home, having a nice dinner, and instead, what are you doing? And I think for all of us as artists, what we're doing is risking. And risking makes you feel alive. There's nothing like it. It's easy to do television and film. It's not easy to walk on a stage in front of 200, 2,000 people with 90 pages in your head. And as you were saying, any stimulus, I mean, the terror of a phone going off can totally stop an actor's mind in its place. Laughter in an unexpected place. The absence of laughter when you know the joke should land and it's silent and you're standing there going, oh, I really did this badly tonight. And as you were saying, any incident that happens in our lives every day is going to come into this company. And that's exhilarating and horrifying at the same time.
It's an adrenaline rush. I'm sure mountain climbers feel that.
Yeah.
But also once you get out there and things start to warm up and pop and happen, there's nothing like the thrill.
Nothing.
Well, lucky for you, I think you're dark on Monday nights, so you can catch your football as well.
Thank you.
For this run. I know this is unnecessary because everybody knows, but for anybody that doesn't recognize the two of you right off the bat, JoBeth, you know, from so many films, Big Chill, Poltergeist, TV shows. Basically, looking at your CV, JoBeth, it looks to me like you've worked as much as you've wanted to for as long as you've wanted to. And before all of the things I just mentioned, you were doing a stage before that. It's been an incredible career for you.
Thank you. I feel very blessed because I have, you know, I had great success when I started with Kramer. Kramer versus Kramer was the first film I ever did. It happened to be a big hit. Then I did Stir Crazy with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor, with Sidney Poitier directing me, and then The Big Chill, and it went on from there. And yet, when I reached my 40s as a woman in this business, I thought, oh, well, I probably won't be working. And yet, I continue to work, and the theater has always been sort of the backbone of what I want to do and what I love to do.
Peter, we just glanced past it earlier, but Rich Man, Poor Man, The Jericho Mile, so many films that people remember, and a career that touches 7 decades, just barely, but it does. You've also worked as often as you've liked to work. Tell me what, after all of this experience, drew you to this production with JoBeth?
Well, first of all, it's one of the most beautiful parts I could ever play. So ultimately, I think most actors go, I don't know where I'm going to be, but this part I must do. So you can end up in Europe, you can end up in New York, you can end up in, Kansas. You want to do the part. And I think the interesting thing is in theater, as JoBeth was pointing out, is there is a wealth of roles depending on your age. It doesn't stop like television and film, where all of a sudden I'm relegated to being either the president or the district attorney, or a really bad father. That's it. I once told my agent I refused to play any part where the role is called Captain Lou Boss, or where the opening line is, "Be careful out there." And my agent said, well, that's 90% of what you're being offered. And I go, great, I'm done. I mean, it's astonishing to me to realize we're about to hit the anniversary of Rich Man, Poor Man. It's 50th anniversary.
Wow.
And it's just, I keep running in front of the mirror going, wow, does that show? Are the 50 years actually here?
No. You haven't changed at all, Peter.
It's astonishing. The beauty, Boleslavsky, one of the great Russian acting teachers, said, the actor is forever carving a statue of snow. And the interesting thing is that even though you have celluloid and video, it's there, it's done, it's gone. And so theater every night is you're giving this profound gift of yourself and your skill and your art, and then it's gone. And it's amazing to me that we still do this.
And some nights you're happy that performance is gone and forgotten. And some nights you think, oh my God, I wish we had a recording of this, because, the whole show, every actor, we were all so together and so on. And, but that, those are the thrills of life, the ups and downs. And it's in the theater, you get to see it happen live.
Yeah, it's the entropy of art. It's like radio, when I say something, those radio waves are on their way to Mars, and right. And that's gone forever.
Gary.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Controversial. Then someone will find a way to bring it back.
Right.
Oh, yeah, they're coming. They're coming for us. And they can maybe make it in time to see Love Among the Ruins. There's a radio segue for you at the El Portal Theater. It's in the NoHo Arts District. It runs until November 5th, and tickets start at just $29. Go see these two, JoBeth Williams and Peter Strauss. Thanks for taking some time out to talk to us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Break a leg. I'm Andy for 88.5, the SoCal Sound.